And right now, those in the commercial world know that being heard via advertisements is the name of the game. AmpSquare.tv understands how important advertisement is and is proud to express that it's truly the only plugged-in internet television production company on the market. Amp2.tv live streams all their shows across all the major selling markets in the U.S. and abroad. Call them at 866-224-5422. The AmpSquare.tv library allows productions to be seen over and over again, making commercial platforms more usable. Call 866-224-5422. Toll free 866-224-5422. Amp2.tv, the first and only internet television network that's truly plugged in. 866-224-5422. That's AMP2.TV. The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. It's Monday night at 9. Time for Sex Talk with Dr. Richard Spiegal, a certified sex therapist and sexuality educator. Dr. Spiegal is here to answer all your questions about sex and sexuality that you might not have known who to ask. He'll also welcome special guests to talk about a wide variety of topics within the fascinating world of sexuality. So, welcome to Sex Talk.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. It's Monday night, so it's time for Sex Talk again. We rolling? Good. Welcome to the show. I want to begin this evening with a special dedication. The field lost a great man this week. Very sad, and I wrote a picture. Oh. I want to recognize the brilliant Robert Dunlop. Robert was not just a sexologist, a filmmaker, an actor, a documentarian, wonderful, joyful man. And as heartbreaking as it is to lose Robert this week, through an amazing series of small world coincidences and this incredible extended family of sexologists and sexuality professionals, I came to find out, well, it connected me with my guest this evening, and it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Stacy Friedman.
Thank you.
Stacy actually studied with Robert and his wife, Patty Britton, at Sex Coach U, and it's funny, we'd been trying to track each other down and text and hook up.
Quite a few months, but we did
it. Sharing offices and chasing office space. Anyway, I'm glad that we finally get a chance to meet. We know so many wonderful people in common.
Me too.
And I'm sorry for your loss. I know it must have been especially painful. I understand you just recently finished studying with Patty and Robert.
About 2 years ago, I finished the coaching program, and then I did my doctorate at the Institute of Advanced Study for Human Sexuality, which Dr. Robert helped me get involved in and was my mentor through that time. So he was an important part of my where I am today.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I'm glad that our circles finally
definitely
connected, and that we met and can share all these great stories. But I was really excited to bring it in tonight because this is, well, just the question of what exactly a sex coach is. For all the years I've been working in this field as a sex therapist, I'm sure I don't need to tell you, it's been one of those sometimes contentious issues, and other times still kind of mysterious, that even a lot of folks in the field sometimes wonder, what's a sex coach? So that's what I want to start you with.
Well, that was a little tricky at the beginning because I didn't know myself. And the way that I learned it and the way that I see now that I'm out of the programs is that therapy is more about mental health, and the coaching is more about figuring out what problems are having. It's more goal-oriented than going back and figuring out what happened in your past, going through trauma, any type of mental anguish, trying to process through those emotions to figure out how you got to where you are today. So coaching is more of taking healthier individuals that don't necessarily have concerns with the mental health and taking whether it's male or female dysfunction or problems with libido or just questions or education about their bodies, where we take that.
This great made-up word, I don't know who made it up, but this wonderful word, psychoeducation, right? This kind of education that's supposed to elicit some behavior change. But what I hear is really, ideally, a pleasure focus, which a lot of medical and mental health fields tend to avoid.
Right. It's
like
depathologizes sex concerns.
Yeah.
You know, not saying that if you have this issue or concern, there's something wrong with you. We don't diagnose. So that's one of the reasons why we don't take insurance, is because we don't have a diagnosis. We're not there to set you up with a concern, you know, I mean, a problem that needs to be diagnosed. It's just, like you said, more pleasure, goal-oriented, and
an
moving
education.
forward. Yeah.
But of course, you know, there's the obvious criticism. I'm sure that there's a kind of defensiveness that you have to explain yourself sometimes.
All the
and I'm
time.
sure there's a lot of therapists that kind of feel like it's kind of a dodge, like you're going around the system or finding a way of being a therapist without having a license or...
Right. Well, we do have certification, and we went through the program with Dr. Patty and Dr. Robert, and one of the things that they teach you is when to know the time is right to refer out.
Right.
So they have the implicit model where we're able to give permission for people to enjoy themselves, because a lot of people, once they find out, you know what, it's okay to be this way, then they all of a sudden, you know, feel better.
Right.
Limited information about things that maybe they need to be educated on, their body, things that they're not sure about how it works. And then you have the suggestions, specific suggestions, and that's kind of where the action plan comes, where we give them ideas on how to make the changes to move forward. And then if we see that there's not anything
need
developing
for that
properly,
intensive therapy.
right, then
Right.
that's what the T is implicit, is therapy, and that's when I refer out. I don't take people where I'm trying to work and process through any of those
So
emotions.
we sex therapists don't need to feel threatened,
No.
like you're trying to...
No, I will not take your clients. I will actually probably give you the clients.
Yeah, you know what, I was thinking about it on the way down here tonight. It seems like a natural that oftentimes I'm trying to talk some patients out of believing that they're dysfunctional, that they have some mental illness or something's broken,
Right.
that they need more, like, I find my work sometimes is like a pleasure coach.
Right.
Right?
Well, that's what a lot of it is. I mean, I don't deal with trauma or child abuse or adult abuse or anything like that. So those are things where if someone comes in and they have sexual abuse and I see that they haven't gone through and processed it with a therapist, and I'm talking with them and I realize, you know what, this could be why they're having all these problems, then I say, you know what, I think you need to process through this first. Let's send you to a sex therapist.
Right.
It's more mental health rather than the physical well-being to be able to be your authentic self.
And also, I mentioned in the post advertising the show that I also wanted to ask about what sex coaches
Is not.
don't do, right? Because I'm sure a lot of people, I know
Yes.
there's a lot of confusion between, well, the term sex surrogate gets bandied around a lot, and a lot of
Right.
people think that even sex therapists, you know, like we have giant beds in our office or
Right,
something,
right.
or we can come and follow a couple home and stand at the foot of their bed.
Yeah, I hear that all
and
the time. They sit there with pom-poms and cheer.
Right,
Woohoo, go
right.
deep, way deep. No.
So do you deal with that, people thinking that...
Yes, but you know what? There's a lot of different avenues when it comes to the coaching. There's a lot of people that will go the extra steps to do tantric coaching and all these other things that are part of it. As far as what I do, I'm a coach. It's all communication. It's all action plans. It's all, I work on Skype. I work in office. I work on phone. It's all very, very good together. I do not watch people do things and critique them. If that's something that I do want to do in the future, that is something possible. And you have Betty Dodson that
yeah.
did stuff for masturbation coaching, and she helped women.
I think a lot of
you know.
what Betty Dodson did in the 70s would probably get folks locked up today.
Exactly.
You know, these like
Exactly.
apartments in Manhattan with a circle of women sitting around, and I saw a video of Betty, you know, running around the circle saying, no, Susan, like
Right.
this. You know, pushing a woman's hand out of the way. No, do it
No,
like
do
this,
it
like I
like
showed you. Right? That kind of hands-on. Well, I know you're a Florida girl, but
Right.
you trained in California, and, you know, honestly speaking, in this field, sometimes it seems like California is a different planet.
Yeah.
And again, there's some folks that I think it seems to me kind of unique to California, like for example, the sexological body worker, right?
Yeah.
There's these kind of job descriptions that seem very rife.
On the borderline with yeah.
Yeah, where's that line between... well, I mean, let me back up a sec. The sex surrogate gets a lot of, bad rap too. Although in the old Masters and Johnson model, I don't know too many people who are really actively using surrogates. But for like your kind of 40-year-old virgin, or you're awkward, for someone for whom the sexual problem is what's keeping them out of a relationship.
Right. I've actually referred two people to a surrogate partner, and they have to be single because they're not working with the partner, but same type of thing. They've had an erectile dysfunction issue. They were not able to get it up, and every single time that they would be with a woman, they would have performance anxiety. So she was helping him learn how to relax, learn how to breathe, learn techniques to be able to start and stop and make sure that he can get to where he needs to be to have a successful relationship. Yeah. So a lot of people are confused. Is it a prostitute? Is it a,
Right. A lot of therapists are afraid to work with surrogates for fear that somehow they're, involved with sex for money.
Right. If they're IPSA certified, though, they have to work in a triad. It has to be the client and the surrogate.
Right. The International Professional
Surrogate Association?
Surrogate Partner Association.
IPSA.
Right. Google it.
IPSA.
But I guess the best example in media and pop culture was that beautiful movie called The Sessions.
Yes.
With Helen Hunt. True story of a man with
paraplegic
polio, right? Paralyzed and an iron lung for his whole life.
Yep.
I loved how it was the priest that he sought permission from and sort of
and
got
that's
the blessing.
Implicit model.
Right?
Yeah, because everyone should be able to feel pleasure. Just because you're disabled or handicapped, that doesn't mean that you don't deserve to be touched. There's so many people that go through, like with this whole thing between is there a sex addiction, is there or not. So many people are so touch deprived in society that it's something that people need to feel whole, to feel fulfilled, to feel loved. And so I think it's very important.
We do have a crazy relationship with sex in this culture and this society, don't we?
Well, we're here to bring sex positivity.
And it's high time we did, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You mentioned sex addiction. That's a hot button topic. Seems a constant source of controversy, even within sex therapy circles. And the kind of disease of sex addiction, of course, is porn addiction. And from my experience, it's seldom about the porn. It's usually more either relational factors or the fact that I believe strongly we're just still too immature in this country to have a grown-up conversation about masturbation.
People aren't communicating the way they need to, so they figure, okay, well, this is the best way out. This is the only way I know how.
Yeah. But if we could talk about masturbation and in that context of pleasure and what our bodies are sort of wired to do, we wouldn't need this scapegoating and panicking over epidemics of porn. Right. It's from my experience, it's never about the porn.
No, I think exactly right. I think that people, if they were able to speak to their partners more without feeling that they might get rejected, because people have fantasies, people have things they want to do, and they want to be able to speak to their partner. And a lot of times, like, oh, well, my wife or my husband would never do something like that. I cannot bring it up. I want a threesome, but if I brought it up to her, she would think that I'm having an affair, or so what they do is they go online and they'll look up threesome porn, so that way at least their fantasies are getting, fulfilled. So we do need to try to get people to feel more open about talking about sex with their partners.
Yeah. Jack Annan was the man back in the mid-'70s who created the implicit model, which really still stands as the way to define, I guess, scope of practice for professionals, but just a powerful way of starting every process with that permission giving.
Right.
And still, all these years later, people just need permission to allow themselves to be sexual beings.
Free sexual, and not to feel judged.
Yeah.
People are very judgmental when it comes to your sexual practices. And you know what? If it's not doing anything that is hurting somebody and it's something that you and the partner agree on, and you know what? Why not?
Absolutely. As the brilliant sex columnist Dan Savage says, right? Good giving and game.
There you go.
GGG. Call us. We'll take some questions or comments at 888-565-1470. It's Sex Talk, so let's talk about sex.
Let's talk.
You can call with questions for the sex therapist or the sex coach. I'm really glad that we're able to have this conversation because, like I said, it's been kind of a gray area for me, even working in this field.
Right, and knowing Dr. Patty and Dr. Robert.
Yes.
I will tell you there is one thing that Dr. Patty had brought up is the MEBS model, MEBES, and that's kind of what the coaches follow by. And the M is for the mind, what you know in your mind about sex, about the negative or the positive things from childhood that you brought into the relationship or into yourself. The E is the emotion, how you feel about sex in general. And then the B is about your body, how the body functions, if you know your body, if you don't know your body. E is for the energy that you bring. And it's just kind of like if your libido is high, all this kind of stuff, if you have good positive energy about sex and confidence, that's something that is the energy. And then the spirit is kind of the whole thing together and, really trying to get to the higher level. Orgasm is, things like that. So bringing all that together, that's where we find if what's missing, and then we work on that.
Real nice. I just want to give a shout out to Patty Britton. We love you, dear.
We love you, Patty.
We're so sorry for this painful loss. Patty was one of the first people to welcome me into ASECT when I first started coming around, and not just ASECT family, but Planned Parenthood family from way back.
Long time ago,
That's like the mob. You never leave.
Right.
Once you're in, you're a Planned Parenthood person for life. So I'm glad the S for spirituality came up because, it's part of this sort of collective sexual schizophrenia we seem to suffer in this country, that sex is kind of salacious and lustful and libidinous and dirty. My brother used to love to say this: sex is dirty, so save it for the one you love. Like, what this crazy mixed message, right? But this, I think, still is too strong a sense that it's disconnected from the spiritual. And what more profound and spiritual way to feel alive and connected than through sexuality.
Right.
Not even just necessarily for coupled people, but even for individuals.
Right.
To
knowing your body,
inhabit their body.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, for women, the only reason why the clit is there is for pleasure. We have something there specifically to make us happy. Yeah. And many people don't use it or don't take advantage of it.
And Freud was talking about penis envy. I think he was doing a little too much blow. Because if there's anything to be envious of, guys, we don't have a part of our body that has no other function except for sexual pleasure.
And we do, women, so take advantage of it and use
this. This astonishes me. I've been saying this a lot, but it just... it doesn't matter what weird job description I have, right? As a man, I shouldn't know more about a woman's body than that woman.
Right.
And what I find when I talk about the clitoris and the anatomy of the clitoris, it's just stunning how women are just like not allowed to know.
It's very complex.
Yeah, it's
very
more
complex.
than just the tip of the iceberg, as
exactly.
we were talking about earlier. Right?
Well, that's why it's so important for women to be able to touch themselves and learn their own bodies, because so many people say, oh, well, he didn't give me an orgasm. Well, it's not his job.
Right.
It's his job to help, but your job is
together.
your job is to figure out your body and, explore and see, what it does, how it feels around everywhere. And so, but the spirituality of it really, when women and men connect, a lot of women get upset. I see more so women getting upset that their husbands always want to have sex. But for them, that's their connection. Women are a little more emotional, men are a little more sexual. So you have to just respect each way that the person connects and then bring that together and have a spiritual connection.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, not all couples are heterosexual, and I know we talked previously that this is also an area of expertise, and that you appreciate working.
I love working with the LGBT community.
Right, with sexual minorities, and obviously things in the news. I know you told me you're not very political, but things in the news have been they're typical crazy, I'll say.
Yeah.
And again now... folks are talking about basic civil rights issues, like denying gay and lesbian federal employees benefits, and this nonsense around transgender bathroom, laws restricting who can go into which bathroom. It's like a sign of a collective mental illness that we're still these frightened, tittering children talking about sex and fearing the other.
Right.
The
well,
weirdo.
because they're fearing the weirdos that are already out there, that are already doing it, and people are saying it makes it easier. But honestly, you've had people that are transgender around you all the time, where a lot of times you don't even know, Yeah. But it's the people that don't pass. What I mean by pass is maybe don't look as feminine or as masculine. Those are the ones that wind up suffering more just because they're outed a little bit more.
Sure.
But I just feel that, if you're thinking about using the bathroom, you're just gotta pee.
Right.
You just gotta pee.
But nobody thinks of the violence perpetrated against transgender
Is more
folks.
against the transgender folks.
But instead, this completely irrational fear that transgender folks... See, when this first started, I think it was North Carolina was the first state, and then Texas followed with wanting to pass laws. First of all, just the absurdity of it, that you'd need to have like a genital inspector outside of every public bathroom and check everyone before they walk in. But at first I thought that their fear was that child molesters would take advantage of that anyone could use whatever bathroom they want. So if I was a child molester, I'd slap on a wig and a dress and go into a girl's room. Now, there also has to be this crazy idea that women's rooms are like harems, where women and girls are just running around naked, and there's no walls or doors or locks or anything.
Right.
But then it dawned on me that, no, they're afraid that it's the transgender people who are the child molesters, because they're the weird ones.
Right.
They're doing these weird things for pervy reasons, right? We have to take the sex out of it and understand that gender expression is as core a part of our humanness.
Well, people sit there and say, well, I don't agree with that lifestyle. And I, as a matter of fact, today just wrote something. I said, it is not a lifestyle. Are you being a man or a woman a lifestyle? No, that's who you are. A lifestyle is swinging. A lifestyle is, getting into kink or, that type of thing is a lifestyle. But being gay, lesbian, whatever, transgender, it's not a lifestyle. It's who you are. It's, like you said, it's in your core. That's just your being.
Yeah.
And,
and they're not thinking through even far enough to realize that if such a law could be passed, then someone who looks like me would have to use the women's room if I was born female. If I was female assigned at birth.
Exactly.
Right? And I don't think most women want to see me.
How do we know? Maybe, you don't know. And that's the thing, is that's like I said, some people would pass and some people wouldn't. And so looking at someone like you, if you were transgender and you had to use what are you going to do? Is, like you said, stand there and show, okay, well, I was born female, but I'm going to go in the women's bathroom right now.
Yeah, because the law says I have to.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty... It's
hurtful.
ridiculous.
I know a lot of people that are transgender and in the LGBT community, and they're amazing, amazing people. Better hearts than some people that are cisgender, which are people that are not born transgender.
Right.
So amazing people, and they're just fighting for, like you said, the rights, just to be equal.
I mean, to have a place to pee, does it get any more
especially the children
than that? Yeah.
Especially the children. I mean, in the schools, they're like, oh, I don't want, if there was any understanding, it would be when they're older. But children in schools and middle schools, what are they? They need to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
They don't have to go to the nurse's station around the whole school and come back. And it's tough.
But trans kids, I know we also have a dear friend in common in Deb Grayson. If you haven't seen the Jazz Jennings TV show, everyone needs to. It's truly incredible.
Yeah, they're an amazing family.
And I think what's so profound, what's always struck me as so profound, when you see a trans kid, you can't think sex. Nobody sees a 4-year-old and thinks, oh, she's a pervert or something, that it's some kinky thing. There's no denying that gender identity is there.
Well, sometimes I'll ask people, I say, well, when did you know that you were a man? How old were you? They're like, well, I don't know, I always knew. I said, exactly.
Right.
Can you imagine if you always knew and then you look down and all of a sudden you're like, where's my penis? You know, that's what a transgender person feels like. They always know who they are inside.
Right.
You know, so we just got to keep fighting and hopefully bring recognition and understanding and education.
You know, I seldom, as someone who's been teaching for about 25 years, college students, I seldom find opportunity to compliment millennials, but I really have to give credit where credit's due. I think this generation has been moving the needle faster and further than I'd ever would have thought even 20, 25 years ago, with marriage equality being the law of the land and more of these things just becoming like, yeah, so what?
Exactly.
Right?
What are they doing to me? Nothing.
Yeah.
You know,
hopefully that continues.
Yeah.
And we do need a new sexual revolution for sex positivity.
I'm ready.
And healthier relationships, first with ourselves, then with each other, more understanding, more fairness, less government deciding who's fit to serve in the military or who's fit to be a parent because of who they love or how they love or whether they sit or stand to pee.
And that's the thing, is that you're talking about love. You're not even talking about hate. These people love each other. Let them love each other. What does it matter to you?
Yeah.
They love each other. And that's what it should be about.
Yeah. So, no one's called this week. I hope next week people will stop being so shy and give us a call and bring in their questions, because people like us live to teach,
talk about it,
and talk about sex and carry a message. So one more shot. You can write it down for next week, 888-565-1470. But before we run out of time, I want to give people a way of getting in touch with you. Dr. Stacy Friedman, Intimacy Coach, can be found on Facebook, where you can call Stacy, Dr. Stacy, at 561-899-7669. You've got 69 in your number.
I know.
I love it.
What can I say?
You can shoot me an email at ricky@modernsextherapy.com or call me at 561-809-1080. You could certainly get in touch with us through the show's Facebook page, Sex Talk with Dr. Richard Spiegal. And we hope that you'll join the conversation next week and keep the conversation going at home. Talk to people. Talk about sex positivity and
educate yourself.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. And
thank you for joining us too.
Yes. Thanks everyone for watching. Hopefully we'll see you next Monday. We still got a couple of...
You've been listening to Sex Talk with Dr. Richard Spiegal. Join us every Monday night at 9 on WNN, 1470 AM and 95.3 FM. Or watch live streaming video at AMP2 TV Productions on Facebook, or look for the shows on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope you'll join us again next week. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.